And then we're hoping that this program continue to help your son live out the true dreams that God truly has designed for them.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, you listen to Conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Connor, how you doing?
Doing great. My graduation was amazing.
Graduation. He beat me to the punch. He literally beat me to the punch. He graduated. When did you graduate now?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I'm always asking about school. That's what happens when you get old, Roger Thomas. You forget what day it is. And
Yeah.
do you get those moments?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you know I do.
Anyways, my wife says because I don't listen.
Oh, it's selective.
Selective hearing.
Yeah, that's what that's called. Yeah.
Anyways, upcoming here in a second, got Dr. Brian Terry. And Brian's one of my favorite lawmakers. You know that, Brian?
One of 132 favorite lawmakers.
132. No, 131.
131.
That's right. No, I'm being serious, man. You know, it's kind of awkward. Men don't share
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
talk like that. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate
Who's
that.
your least favorite? Don't tell you it's me.
But my least favorite? I don't know. I need all the votes I can get.
Hey, that's the truth, man. Don't never burn a bridge. No, you're right. You're right about that. You never know, brother.
You never know.
I've had that happen.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a Jerry Stewart with
Yes.
VFW Post
4575.
4575. We're going to get to you here in a little bit, and I've got a young man that's going to call in here in just a few minutes. I don't know if he's listening, but you know, one of the issues that we've talked about up here. Well, I'll tell you what. Before we go to that, Roger, you got something you wanted to share before I go to this call. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, we had the guys from Rolling Thunder on about a month or two ago, and they were looking for a way to make money for the, the guys that, the veterans and things.
Mm-hmm.
And they got with Mid-10 Hot Rodders, and yesterday at the VFW, they had that event. It really went well, and I said they're planning on doing another one next year, but yeah, it went beyond what they thought it would actually do. So, but Mac and Phil, they're going to do another one. Yes, next year they may do it at Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake.
Uh-huh.
How do you say Mac's last name?
I know, I've got it on the card. I don't know. Mac, I guess it's Mac.
Well, remember, my wife and I were arguing about it because see,
what did you say it was?
Well, I can't.
Is she listening?
McLaughlin or something?
Is she listening?
No, she don't listen.
Okay, well, okay. Tell me what it is.
So she selects out you too.
She does.
Selective radio listening.
Enough.
She's probably listening to music,
You know.
But Mike, I got one more thing. That they had they was having a car show at Northern Tool here about 3 months ago, and it got rained out.
Mid-10 Hot Rodders.
Yeah, it's going to be June the 7th at 7. On June the 7th, it's on a Saturday. It's going to be at noon. It's the second annual Northern Tool Car Show. It's on Old Fort Parkway here in Murfreesboro, and that's a big one.
And they can find them on Facebook.
Yeah, Mid-10 Hot Rodders. You can find them on Facebook, all their events. And
that's Christy Armstrong Pugh and
Chris Pugh, Mike Morton, his wife Tracy Morton, and then there's the Judd. What'd you call him? What was his first name?
Danny.
Yeah, I think he's a cousin through my cousin.
Oh, yeah. You
Mike
kid a lot of people.
That was Mike. I didn't even realize it. Mike Morton, the guy. I didn't know it.
Cousins, really?
About 3 days ago. And then he showed me another cousin. Oh, yeah, man. If you're from a place like that, you're kin to everybody. I mean, you really are.
Because you go back to old Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm 70 years there. So
how many generations your family go back?
Well, my great-great-grandparents were in old Jefferson around 1850. Wow. And one of them's actually kind of hooked up with one of the Davises because there's 13 kids, and it's a bunch of kids there. So
well, and your aunt that listens,
she's 96. Yeah.
Dot.
Yeah. Dorothy Comer. She was a hunter. Well, yeah, oh yeah. Hello, Aunt Dot.
Yeah. She's really sweet, isn't she?
But anyway, yes, she really is. She's 96, and she's been on the air before. Still pretty sharp.
Well, we want to get her to come up here.
Yeah, but we're going to wait till they get the elevator, the new building
Wait
over
for the
here.
elevator?
I know she's 96.
I think she can make it.
Well, you said put her on the gurney, man. We don't
Charles
do that.
Jones, he's fixed to be 95. He made it.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, he passed you on the steps on the way up.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I mean, he really did. I was surprised.
And it's kind of cool.
It's
It's kind of cool. You know, I had an uncle that got killed in Normandy back then, but I also got one that died at 21, and he was in class, and he tells that story when he talks about my uncle, and it's kind of cool. You know, I asked him what was my uncle like, you know, because my uncle died in 1948, the other one, and it's really cool. He can remember how he was. He's a pretty good guy, but he's kind of a little bit clownish. I guess it runs in the family, you know.
Who, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, he was telling me. Yeah, and he wants to. But he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
We always have him speak at the chili cook-offs. You know,
This guy's is so crazy, y'all, that he grew up in Old Jersey. He's 94 years old. He owned part of Hickory Hollow Mall, owns the Milky Way Farm out Giles County.
Oh, yeah.
He remembers going down Jefferson Pike before Seward Air Force Base was constructed.
Wow.
Before World War II.
Yeah.
I know, it seems like what? But he gets around good. In fact, we're meeting tomorrow. With THDA. Meet with a developer in Nashville that may get us some ideas. He wants to build a housing complex. And he's owned several Macy's throughout the Southeast, and
12, I think, at one
12?
time, different ones through the years. Yeah.
Well, he's an entrepreneur, but what he wants to do, he wants to build like 200 or 300 unit apartment complex, and if somebody leases it, a young couple, at the end of the 5-year lease, he'll cut them a check back so they can use it to purchase a house. So we're going to meet with some folks tomorrow, and Dr. Krause, I think, is going to join us. Dr. Krause was one of my professors. I've seen Dr. Krause. Well, I know he's done this. He's bought homes and let students lease it from him, and then try to give them the option to purchase it. But meet with him tomorrow. But I've got a guy that's going to be calling in. You know, the area that we've talked about a lot on this show is what I call the plight of the fatherless, and I think mentorship can help with that. And I've got Brian. I know I'm going to chop his name up. Tajirina. How do you say that? Gina?
Close enough.
Does that sound good? Chief Executive Officer, Director of Tyro Support Services. You know, I talk about I call them God wink moments. Dr. Terry, you believe in God wink moments?
I do.
You do? I know you do. Okay. Well, you're part Choctaw.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I am, yeah.
All right. So, and so this guy, I had a resolution about the fatherless mentorship, had several lawmakers speak on this. And it matters to me. I think it should matter to us as a society. Well, I wrote an article on this, Dr. Terry, I guess it was about a week and a half ago, and put it on my Tennessee Ledger, TennesseeLedger.com, if folks want to read it. And I put the letter on there, a little article, and kind of tied into the legislation. And after I wrote the article, I thought to myself, you know, sadly, most people don't care about this issue. You know, I was just kind of, I'm not saying I was sad, but I was just kind of thinking, man, I wish more people cared. I mean, because it's just I think it's really a serious issue facing our society. And Dr. Terry, within an hour and a half, I get a text from UT, University of Tennessee. You know, Josh Warren, the UT liaison.
Yeah.
Josh, I didn't know who it was. I got a new phone, lost a lot of contacts. And he says, Representative, we've got this fatherless conference. Would you like to attend? So here's what I talk about probability. Okay. What is the probability of me writing a column about the fatherless, and within an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, I get a text from UT, hey, would you like to attend this fatherless conference? What's the probability? How would you factor that?
Well, I don't know, because I guess my question is, what's your readership on
Tennessee Ledger? Well, I mean, he didn't read it.
Oh, okay.
He didn't,
oh, wow.
No, he didn't read it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. This is what's so cool about it. I just thought, so I at the conference, I brought it up to Josh. I said, thank you for bringing this up, Josh. And it really means a lot. He works for Randy Boyd, you know, UT President Randy Boyd. And he said, well, I know it's something that matters to you, and I knew about your legislation.
Well, you've done resolutions.
Yeah. And, you know, but I mean, I know you get it. There's others that get. I do think there's a lot of people that don't get it, that don't care. You know, most lawmakers, let's face it, you know, they had that safety net. They had a father. They had, you know, stable family unit growing up, but the conference was really good, and that's where I met Brian. That should be calling in here in a few. Has he called in yet, Connor? Okay, he's looking at me. No, he hadn't called in, but hopefully he calls in. But I think as a culture, I had mentors. I would say most people in life, like Jerry, have you had a mentor in your life?
Yeah.
Do you identify him as that person as a mentor, or is it just somebody you just throughout the years you just looked up to?
Somebody I just looked up to.
Yeah. What about you, Dr. Terry?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've had different people that have played a role. Some of them, have from a medical standpoint. Yeah, still Norman Imes. He was on the admissions board for University of Oklahoma. I met him. He was a pulmonologist, and I actually thought about going into pulmonary medicine.
Really?
And I did some rotations with him, and he taught me some stuff that way. Of course, we always have our different attendings or whatever. And one of my recently retired physicians, one of my partners, who I joke about, he knows half the county or coached half the county, and he always had some words of wisdom, and you just take those and kind of particularly in medicine, and you're wise to listen to people that have made either good decisions or bad decisions, and somebody that can listen to other people and learn from them, the good and the bad, so that you can carry on. But it's not just learning from them; it's understanding as well. Because once you understand why they do something, then you can teach the next person.
Yes.
So.
Well, this I didn't know what Tyro, Tyro Support Services, Tajurina, Executive Director, who hopefully is going to call in here in just a minute. I was asking him what that means, and I guess Tyra in Latin. I don't know Latin, Dr. Terry, but it means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new. And this week I had the opportunity to go out there at what we call the base, Smyrna Airport. We got the tarmac. The C-17 was out there. The KC-135 refueling aircraft's out there, and Colonel Salatka was giving us kind of a tour with the Mayor Reed, and several others were out there, and it was just kind of bringing back memories. My father was stationed at Seward. That's why we moved here, along with many families, and getting to go up there on the aircraft and see that. But just think of how times and Smyrna has grown, and Rutherford County has grown so much. But you think of the people that made a difference in your life, and where would you be if you didn't have no mentors? Where would you be? You think you'd already went through medical school? I mean, you think you would be where you're at right now if it wasn't for those folks?
I don't know that I would. I mean, there's always people that you look at, and I mean, like for me, of course, like from a political standpoint, I try to see myself as a combination of. I liked Tom Coburn. I don't know if you ever knew who he was. He was a senator from Oklahoma. He actually was a congressman first, but he was a doctor, OBGYN.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he was the one that came up with like the waste book, The Waste in Government. And so I always, would tell people, if somebody, if you could describe yourself as an elected official, who would it be? And I tell people, I'm kind of a combination, consider myself a combination between Tom Coburn and Rand Paul. Most people know who Rand Paul is.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't necessarily know who Tom Coburn is, but he was somebody. Do you remember when they used to have like the Gang of Eight? And when there would be some big issue, and they would get like 8 senators in a room and try to sit down. Tom Coburn was always one of the Gang of Eight.
Did you ever get to meet him?
No, I didn't.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away. He had cancer, and ended up he ended up having to vacate his seat, and he ended up passing away. But no, he was just someone that, like the Gang of Eight, if he got up and left the room, then everybody else in the world knew that whatever was going on behind those closed doors, there were a bunch of shenanigans, and he wouldn't put up with it.
Yeah.
But but he was a voice of reason, and he was obviously very conservative. But he was probably someone that I looked up to, when I was younger.
Yes. How long have you been here, Rutherford County? When did y'all move here?
We moved here in '98.
98. What brought y'all to Middle Tennessee?
My job. I did my med school at University of Oklahoma, but I did my residency at UT Knoxville, and so went to college, University of Oklahoma. And I tell people, so Norman was University of Oklahoma. Norman is to Oklahoma City, which go Thunder up. They just won. But Norman is to Oklahoma City what Murfreesboro is to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
And I essentially grew up in Moore, which is like the Smyrna of Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And but I ended up doing my anesthesia training at UT Knoxville, and so we were wanting to get back to a town that maybe had a college that was near a big city. Didn't want to live in a big city. There wasn't really any great opportunities out in Norman. Although I did talk to them out there. I actually had signed a contract in Denton, Texas. So that's like a suburb of Dallas, and then. Actually, it was Mark Hardison, who's an oral surgeon here in town, was doing his 6 months of anesthesia training. I was actually teaching him anesthesia in Knoxville, and he said, they're opening up a surgery center. I think they need a doctor. And so I ended up, making a phone call, coming out here interviewing, and, ended up loving the place, and obviously love it so much, put down roots, and I'm serving.
Yeah, you even helped my mother when she was in Trust Point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's since passed, but I remember you were her doctor. We were having a little trouble. She was just severe depressed. I guess she was probably 80, I don't know, 9 or 90 at the time. Well, my father was from Okmulgee. You ever been to Okmulgee?
I don't know if I have been to Okmulgee. I've been, all around Oklahoma, but not. I don't remember.
You know what it's famous for?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, this guy with my same name was killed over there. If you Google, it's kind of awkward, man. Have you not heard the story?
If you have, it's selective hearing.
It's a little awkward. It's like there's this salvage guy, and I guess there's these 4 guys. If you Google it, you'll see it. And one of the guys' name's Mike Sparks, and I think they were going to rob this salvage. Seriously, this junkyard. And I guess the guy knew they were coming, and he killed every one of them and chopped their bodies up and hid their bodies. Yeah, man, it's pretty. I'm surprised you didn't know about this.
There were the car crushers that would come in for the parts.
Yeah, because your background is salvage.
Yeah, it is. They probably. And we had our share of junkyard dogs. We had Dobermans and German Shepherds and
yeah. Do you like being at junkyard? Do you ever go to junkyards anymore?
I haven't been in a while, but I'll tell you what. When I was 13, I was pulling parts off of cars. When I was 16, I was driving the delivery truck. But I told you, in the summer in Oklahoma, being around all those cars and the heat coming off those cars, you learn real quick what that's like. It's
I was out at Express here recently. I needed something and went out there and found it. I'm fixing up a little Porsche. Little Boxer, and I had to drive out to Lansing. You ever been to Lansing, Tennessee?
Have
North of Monterey.
No, I have not.
Found a door for a Porsche, and got it for $100. I bet I had to go to Mercedes dealership or a Porsche dealership. No telling what it cost, man.
No doubt.
I mean, but 15. I never checked on a new one.
Yeah,
but they got Auto World's taking care of me. My Kurdish buddies. Just wife went by there the other day because I got another unit working on, and she's the first time she ever seen it, and she said, "Man, that's a cute little car. I got to do something. Back window's all faded. The little plexiglass gets all faded. But your family's still in the business?
No. My father passed away in 2000, and my mom passed away a couple years ago. But they ended up selling out the salvage business and converting over to what's called an auto insurance pool. And so they had auto, and then they also had property. So every couple of weeks they would, say if you total your car, going back to the Oklahoma City bombing.
Okay.
So of course people don't really, I was there to help, in the ER when at Baptist for that, but I also saw the other side of that because the cars that were destroyed in the bombing, my dad and the truckers, they had to go pick those cars up and bring them out there. Yeah, I still remember a ragtop Jeep that was just cut with glass and just, it was I mean, it was, so those are things that still stick with me, some of the visions of that. But
well, is that, and that's what we're going to segue into. Before we segue in, when we were out on the tarmac, the town manager, David Santucci, I want to pronounce his name proper. Is that how you say David Santucci? Santucci? It's Italian. Yeah. Anyways, we were driving back, and they had a couple of these Tennessee energy drink. Beautiful. Is that a beautiful can or what? You know,
that is.
That can. It's a beautiful can. Can you see it okay, Connor? That can. Can you see it? Anyway, it's pretty can. How am I going? All right, that's it. Anyways, so I picked up a couple of these drinks. Want to give this to Jerry. This
thank you.
So the guy asked us, we're walking up the tarmac, you know, where my father served, you know, working on the C-130s, and you know, he flew 24 missions on a B-17. He's no longer with us, and it's just really surreal. The base, you know, my brother flies for DEA. My sister's an air traffic controller in Oklahoma City, but she used to be at the tower.
In Tinker or at Roll Rogers? You see air traffic controller?
Yeah,
probably Roll Rogers.
On like a little flat board and work the controllers. It's pretty cool. I took a picture, sent it to him. He guessed what it was. He knew exactly what it was. But we were walking up on that tarmac, and the guy offered us a ride. And David was like, "No, we're going to walk. You know, we'll get some exercise." And the guy said, "You like that drink?" I had it in my hand, and I said, "Yeah, man." He said, "You want a couple?" I said, "Dude, I'll take a whole case." He goes, "Come on." It's his company. So shout out to Justin Wilson with, I guess, how do you pronounce that? Tenergy energy drink. And
is it orange flavored?
I don't know. Try it, David. I mean, you know, if you want some energy.
Live reaction.
But I was going to bring, he got me a whole case, and nice guy, but I think we've got, I don't know if Brian's going to, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, what's going on?
How's it going, Mike? What you know, I was going to ask what you think about
doing good. Go ahead, I can't hear you.
What do you think about the county bus drivers getting the contract, $4,000 for the insurance? The bus?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. What do you think about the county bus drivers contract, 24% increase, $4,000 stipend for the insurance, and also I'm sure y'all have heard that Joe Biden been diagnosed with.
Yeah, my wife was just telling me.
Yeah, I saw where Trump.
I want you to comment on the bus driver. You might know you're the increase in the age of the bus driver. So just comment on the contract. You think they'll sign something, so they're not going to. So hang up, listen. Thanks.
Well, first, you know, my wife just told me about the diagnosis.
Yeah, I just had heard that Joe Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I saw where President Trump had put out a tweet, you know, wishing him well and health and a quick recovery. And of course, everybody does. Nobody wants. I mean, cancer's. You know, and my understanding is that it's metastasized to the bone, and so that's. But they said it's. I think it's hormonal. It's a hormonal treatment that it's, you know, fairly treatable. That his type is. So hopefully he can, you know, get treatment and be able to do you know, get back. So.
You know, I was talking about this to a friend of mine called me the other day. He's he may not let me share his name, but former colonel at Seward, I guess Smyrna Airport now, and he's going through some treatment now. He was calling to check on my buddy Tony Campbell. Tony just had surgery, and Tony's doing well. He had some serious blood clots, and boy, they cut him from the top of his chest down, and it's I guess extremely rare, delicate surgery, and he's doing better. But you know, my mother, I'm always reminded of what my mother used to tell me. My mom was a strong Christian woman, and she was from Scotland, and she'd always say, if you got your health, you got it all. You ever heard that? If you got your health, you got it all.
Well, that's a lot of people. You know, when you talk about mental health, and something, if we're going to, you know, get to that, but a lot of people, you know, judge themselves based on other things. But yeah, when you do have your health, you know, you can be blessed.
Amen.
Because not everybody is healthy, and you know, we all struggle with whether it's mental health or whether it's physical health. Everybody's got some sort of issues.
Yeah.
But you know, that's one of the things, you know, to talk about, wealthy or this, that, and the other, but those that are rich in health.
Yes.
I don't think people realize how important that is.
We're I know one of the things we talk about is the power of music therapy. Jerry, I would have never talked about this stuff 10 years ago, but music's a powerful tool, because we're fixing to get into some mental health. I mean, we've got a musician right here with Jeremy. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Doing good. What we talking about mental health and music. I mean, what do you think? Because you're up there, you play, you sing, you play the drums, guitar.
Yeah.
How many instruments you play?
Let's see. Piano, guitar, drums, sing. There's a couple of others that I want to pick up, but I'm not gonna say that I play them yet. But talking about mental health and music, I mean, I think music is when words. Here you go. When words are a barrier between cultures, music is the bridge that bridges them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a powerful tool. But back with what Jeff was saying, and thank you, Jeff, for the call. The challenges that Dr. Terry and I see today, as well as school board members and the county commission, city council, I mean, they're really kind of unprecedented when you look at where young people can't afford a home today. I mean, the traffic we've got, the cost of building a new school is $180 million. And the cost of a new school bus, $210,000 today? My
Maybe
late
more,
my late father drove a school bus after leaving the military, which he was not cut out to drive a school bus. It was like the worst occupation he should have went into. I mean, seriously, and he was just hardcore military. Oh, he was rough. I heard stories, and
Speed too.
The councilman told me he said he was the meanest man in Smyrna.
Imagine your dad being like the SDI, the DIs at Paris Island, or.
He was like that, but when that guy said that, it bothered me for about 15 seconds when he said that about my father, and then I thought, yeah, he was kind of hard. He was really strict, but the challenges today are. I'm not saying they're insurmountable, but the challenges of the school system, to the districts, to try to. One is to find drivers, the high cost of insurance, the high cost of a school bus, what these owner contractors are doing. That's why I got so upset with my school bus legislation.
Yeah. Well, and that's the issue is, I mean, the market moves faster than government.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you're seeing, whether it's inflation, whether you're seeing, cost of living or wages or whatever.
Yeah.
It's moving over here, and like for us, when Patsy Hazelwood ran a bill a couple years ago to help just try to bring up some of the behavioral health workers to get them at a certain level, because they were being way underpaid.
Yeah.
And even now, I don't even know that that's at market rates.
No.
But that's the issue that you often get is, you have to balance a budget, and then you've got it balanced. And for that year, but now you're maybe 2 years behind on, the wages or whatever industry you're at. I'm not saying that's the case in this one, but maybe it is. And then now all of a sudden it comes to you, and you have to make those tough decisions. So, the school boards, and working with them and making those type of decisions.
Well, Tim, I thought Representative Rudd had a good words yesterday. Well, all of y'all did, and Charlie. Charlie's usually the more politically correct, would you say? He's doctor of economics at TSU.
Well, going back, so Charlie, there's three. You talk about favorite reps.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's no longer a rep, but it was Tillman Goins. You remember him? Tillman, and he was an air traffic controller. When you were talking about, yeah.
Okay.
So him, Dan Howell, who was he was a weatherman.
That's right.
And Charlie. So when they present a bill or whenever they're talking.
Yeah.
Think of an air traffic controller. You don't want to get real high pitched or anything like this, because you freak out the pilots. So when they talk and they're telling you, you're like, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, but it sounds calm and you sound really confident, and I'm with you.
Yeah,
and Charlie's like that. He's economics, and he's really really smart on that. But he's really good about bringing that in a very calming.
Did you notice I said amen? Did you notice I led the clap?
No.
You ever led the clap and nobody clapped after you? That happened once with me.
Roger's in there laughing at you.
I was at a school, but I was at a school board meeting one time. It's a true story. Now I was at a school board meeting, and it was at what was that girl's name? That was the director of education. This was at least 10 years ago. The dark-haired girl, long dark-haired girl, went to work for Belmont or something later. Anyways, I mean, it's always contentious in a sense, and really it shouldn't be that way.
Schwinn?
No, the one before Schwinn. Anyways, I forgot her name, but you could tell it's a tense, and I'll try to be the peacemaker in the crowd, and sometimes it's hard to be a peacemaker, Jerry. And she said, so I was looking for a high note, just something good that she said, and I just started clapping like that, and nobody clapped at all in the entire crowd. I'm like clapping, okay. And but anyways, it's a little awkward. But going back to what Jeff was asking about this contract, I'm glad to see them work together. But man, costs are just escalating so much, and we've got to get costs under control. That's what I like about Elon Musk and Doge, what they're trying to do, because it is totally unsustainable economically to just continue millions and millions in increases. I mean, what's the school bus going to be in 5 years? $250,000. I mean, $240,000. And but the school bus legislation that I had, that we passed in the House, a lot of people don't realize that Tennessee is the most restrictive in the world. Let me say again, in the world, to drive a school bus. You got to be 25, more restrictive than Russia, more restrictive than Cuba, more restrictive than North Korea, more restrictive than California, more restrictive. And and this is what bothers me with the General Assembly. We have a knee-jerk reaction to something. You had that terrible school bus crash in Chattanooga. The guy was 24. The guy should not have been driving a school bus. Students even complained about his driving. Parents complained about driving. Someone should have intervened to save those kids, and several were hurt. And so the state of Tennessee and their divine guidance, Department of Safety, decide, let's just go to 25. We'll solve the problem. Now we have a shortage of school bus drivers. And I'll tell you who stepped up the plate for me was Representative Lowell Russell. Lowell is a former highway patrol officer. He was injured really bad in a crash, I believe, off of I-40. And Lowell, I thought he'd be against it because usually a trooper is going to side with Department of Safety. Yeah. And he went and got the data for me. He says, Sparks, it's not the younger drivers that's had more collision. It's the older drivers had more collision. But anyways, we passed on House side. It failed in the Senate. We're going to come back. I may have to hire some lobbyists and stroke them some checks, you know what I mean, for a few $1,000s. Sadly, that's what it takes sometimes to get things passed. But anyways, the media's not talking about this. You know, we talk about freedom, and then Tennessee is the most restrictive to drive a school bus. And I had a young man that came up, Isaac Heineck, I believe his name is, that came up. He's 21. And there's other young people that want to make this a career move for them. And sadly, you know, they'll have to wait. Because I amended it. Instead of 21, I just put 23 to try to get it passed. But it fell by one vote on the House, on the Senate side. But thank you, Jeff, for that call, and congratulate the school board and Director Sullivan and Trey Lee and others for working that out.
Yeah, that was a big issue for them, and I know that there was a lot of stress all around parents. Nurses that I'm working with, when that was coming up, they're like asking me, and I was like, okay, this is a local issue, but of course I knew I knew what was going on. But
yes, boy, if you can't get the kids to school, man, you know. You talk about mental health.
Yeah, but you walked.
I walked uphill both ways. Seriously, through the hill, up, down, up, down, up, down. I walked from my house to Smyrna West and David Jury and Thurman Friends. But when I look back, Roger's back there laughing. But you know what? I used to think it was terrible to walk to school because it was raining and we didn't have umbrellas. But you know, really looking back, it was a blessing. You ever had those, like, at the time you think it's terrible, but then you look back later on, you're like, man, I'm glad I had to walk to school.
Yeah, we had like bike racks, and we had we'd ride our bikes to school. And
how far did you have to go?
Oh, it was probably a mile and a half, maybe. It wasn't too bad.
That's still a mile and a half's a long way.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I guess, yeah.
On a bike?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, when you're riding a little BMX bike, maybe.
You know,
On a bike
I
on a
think
mile,
it
that's
is.
not that bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's not that bad at all.
but you know, it was a how old a fellow are you?
Old enough.
Well, I was just saying the days when I was younger, I think were better
Gen
than they
X.
are today. Gen X.
Gen X.
But you know, we had, I think, more freedom. We weren't playing video games all the time. We're out jumping ramps and having a good time as a kid. Did you ever jump any ramps?
Yeah, I've got a few scars.
Yeah, a few scars.
Yeah.
Did you ever jump any ramps, Jerry?
Oh yeah.
You know, and Roger as well. Well, we're going to get into the VFW. And Jerry, I know you're passionate about VFW, what y'all do to help veterans. Go ahead and share VFW and y'all's mission, if folks may not be that familiar with the VFW.
So, first of all, I'm in Post 4575 here in Murfreesboro, and our mission is helping other veterans and getting them in the help they need, either with their VA ratings, education, whatever it is. We have sources for you, and I would like to say we meet the third Monday of the month at 6:30 here at Heroes Den here in Murfreesboro.
Say the date again.
The third Monday of the month, we meet at Heroes Den at 6:30 p.m.
Heroes Den. Where's that at?
It is the old Farrell Paint Store, connected
Okay.
to MJ's.
Yeah, across from
Champy's.
Champy's. Is that a pretty good place? You ever ate there?
I have not ate there.
I've never ate. You ever ate there?
Champy's?
Yeah.
The gumbo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never ate there. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
I'm a sucker for gumbo, though.
oh, I love gumbo too. My wife,
The hotter the better.
Yeah, my wife. I think she's gonna come up with something here next day or two. You know, how many members y'all have?
Right now, our roster says 200 some, but we don't have that many active.
Active, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about my buddy Jim Africano? You know Jim?
Jim is actually the president or the commander of our auxiliary.
Okay. I hadn't seen Jim in a while. You know Jim, don't you?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen Jim in a while.
Usually riding around. Or,
Man, he's always he's a mover and shaker, man. You know, he still got his is it cigar thing he's doing?
I have no
He's got
idea.
Affy's pest control.
Yeah, he's got Affy Pest Control. I'm not sure if he's still doing the cigar thing or not.
The I've known him. In fact, I was at my buddy's car business yesterday, just driving through there, dropping off a part for my buddy Z, and there was a lady there, and I guess Z said Jim sent her over, and Jim's just a great guy. Should have called and had him to come up as well. Let me ask you, I know there's different veterans organizations that's out there. Does everyone communicate well and work good together?
I will say this here in Murfreesboro. Yes, we do.
Y'all do? Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, over at Mission Barbecue, they had a veterans thing, and you had AMVETS and VFW working together.
Yeah. Because one thing I see is, and I'm not talking about y'all or other groups. It just seems like there's a lot of folks that don't seem to work good together. I guess because I come from Nashville and the General Assembly, and it just seems like people need to work good together. And that's just something I see. And I think a lot of that really, man, is, I think some of that correlates into mental health.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it really does. Because if you can't, I mean, like you, Brian, you ever had to work with somebody you didn't like in the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, see, Brian's such a nice guy.
Yes.
He always puts on a smile, always got a good attitude. In fact, I was kidding you on the way up here. We were talking about a bill, okay?
No, but I would tell you something. So,
Okay, go ahead.
So one of the things that, he's a retired neurosurgeon, and he was awesome, and we always would joke around, and I told him one time, I said, you know, the further away, you know, he's like I say, he's a neurosurgeon. You know, the further away you get from the feet, the bigger a jerk the doctor is.
Oh, really?
And he looked at me and goes, "Well, what does that mean about you? You're at the head of the bed."
Oh, really?
Oh, dang.
You know,
Wow.
really, there is, but I do see a lot of egos, man. Do you ever study the ego? I mean, I know this gets deep in psychology. You ever study like excessive pride, excessive egos?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the ego is good, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to like the id, the ego, and super ego, but yeah, I mean, there's It goes back to my days of psychology.
Yeah. You know, Alfred Adler, you know, he talked about the trauma growing up. I was studying him here a few weeks ago. That's an interesting guy right there. I guess he was, what would you say, what's the term you use? Not rivals of Sigmund Freud, but contemporaries.
Yeah.
And Freud, I guess, went one way. Adler thought that trauma, it helps when people overcome, you know, the obstacles. I think he studied guys in the military that seen a lot of trauma, and how a lot of times they use the trauma to help overcome and go help others. And I think that's isn't that kind of a way to help folks when you're down and out, you go help somebody else is down and out.
That's like mentorship or understanding that you're not alone, and that if you know, the first issue is always being self-aware, aware of what you're going through, and aware that you have a need, or you have an issue, or something that's going on in your life. But you know, oftentimes having someone else that's gone through that process that you can talk to, or that is empathetic. And because that's oftentimes, because unfortunately that's a big issue that we have with mental health now, is stigma. That's been an issue, because most people aren't empathetic towards, I mean, if men especially, if a man goes and tells another man, hey man, I'm feeling down, or I'm feeling this,
get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Rub some dirt on it or something, you know.
Isn't that what you said, Roger? Rub some dirt on. Somebody said that the other day.
But that's the thing. But if you you know, like PTSD, and I was looking up some statistics on that, and it's like 3.6% of adults annually are dealing with that, and that can be from anything from war, of the trauma of that, and military, and seeing things that you see. I mean, for us, there's often, you know, in medicine, oftentimes if somebody, you know, you have a really difficult case, or some patient that you can't save, and you know, issues with that, going back to Oklahoma City, the bombing. You know,
you think that affected you a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to this day, when I'll get choked up talking about it now, but going back, you know, April 19th, 1995, I still remember where I was. And
really?
Had, two of my high school classmates, Jill Randolph and Carrie Adams. Carrie was pregnant at the time, and Jill sat next to me in English class. And but, you know, just thinking about that day, and, you know, I mean, I'm just, you know, this is the thing with, you know, obviously with PTSD, it's obviously a lot of people have a lot worse, but I still remember, you know, the kids that were across the street that were in the daycare. They came in, they were who we helped take care of and keep them until their parents got there. But I still remember the parents coming in. The kids seemed to be okay, but the parents were just, you know, they had no idea the shape their kids were going to be in, whether they were alive, and just the fear of that. But you know, there's all sorts of, you know, different you know, things that people go through, have hidden scars, you know, and you never know, you know, they tell you never know what someone's going through, so just be kind. You know, be kind to somebody, because you never know what they're going through. And
well, you know, we've had a couple of suicides that, you know, of family members at the state capitol, you know, and we won't go into detail, but Justin Pearson out of Memphis, I think his brother took his own life, and you know, he dealt with that. And Bob Freeman, father, took his own life, and I think Jeremy Faison's father took his own life a few years back. You know,
and it's and there's some you know, people here. I mean, of course, if you're feeling suicidal, you know, 988, call that the hotline. You know, reach out. You know, heck, if find one of us. You know, find somebody that you know, don't. You're not alone.
Yeah. Well, I heard a sermon at church one day that I thought it was really interesting. And my pastor, he was saying that there was this guy was super depressed, and he said he went to it may have been Freud, it may have been one of those psychologists or something, or Jung or something. He said, man, I'm just so depressed, can't get over this depression I'm dealing with. He said, go find a homeless person and feed them. And I thought, man, that's interesting. So how often, you know, with the VFW and a lot of folks that come in, how big of an issue you think that some of this is among your peers?
with mental health, I'd say it's a big issue. Like I've lost count how many people I've known from the military that's committed suicide.
Yeah.
It was 22 a day.
22 a day.
22 a day. Yeah.
That is a rounded number.
Yeah.
It fluctuates, but that's the number that's stuck with everyone. And like it seems like I'm always hearing someone else I knew in the military committed suicide.
Yeah.
And the big thing with military is there's that stigma you're talking about, because when we were active duty, if you went to go get mental health at one point, it was frowned upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I even went through mental health problems when I was deployed on my last deployment, to where I attempted suicide.
Oh goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So
What branch?
Army.
So
there is that stigma there among veterans, especially, that it's frowned upon if you get help.
Well, that and I had discussion earlier this year. They came up there, the Firefighters Day on the Hill or whatever, and they were having some bills and that we're looking at. But it's like, particularly in the military, a lot of them, I'm thankful for anybody that serves in the military, but a lot of the testosterone of it's like I'm going to be a manly man and I'm not going to get help from anybody, and then it turns around, it ends up being a little bit too late. But no, that's one of the things is, one, being aware that you do have an issue, and then seeking out help. And I think it's becoming less of a stigma. We're in Mental Health Awareness Month right now, and that's what part of that is, just to try to decrease the stigma and get people talking about it, and get people to understand that you're not alone. Talk to folks, and we often do think that we're particularly if you're an introvert like me, you're oftentimes in your own head, but reaching out to somebody, particularly like I said, if somebody has similar type of aspects, but like what you're talking about going out and feeding the homeless or getting involved in like music. That's a type of therapy, behavioral activation. And so oftentimes, like for me, the thing that de-stressed me the most growing up, and whether it's med school or what, there's a lot of stress in med school, a lot of stress in medicine, but it was playing basketball. I could go out and just, because if you're playing music, you're not thinking about what's going on, because you're playing the notes, you're singing, and you're in your head, and so you forget, and you get this release of neurotransmitters, and it kind of can pick you up. It's therapeutic.
It's
and that's the same thing.
Not oxytocin. It's an
endorphin.
It's an endorphin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can personally say that. Whenever I'm playing music, I'm in my own space.
But like going out and feeding somebody or helping somebody else, you get this sense of accomplishment that you've done. I've told some of the members on my health committee, when we've passed a bill, they didn't realize it or passed something on the floor. It's like, you realized you just saved some lives.
Really?
And it's just like, because you're thinking of the bill, but if you think that you're helping somebody and you've saved a life or you've done something, to me that's for me that's can be therapeutic, because oftentimes things that you do are thankless, but if you realize, hey, I've actually done something, it kind of can bring you out of that and realize that you do have worth and people are thankful to you.
And talking about music and therapeutic with veterans, there's actually a group that meets here in town, I think 2 Thursdays a month, called Freedom Sings USA.
Oh, really?
And they take the veteran stories and put them into music.
Have you heard about Operation Song in Nashville?
There's Operation Song.
Yep.
There's Guitars for Vets.
Yep. I interviewed the director of that for an assignment when I was a music major.
Okay.
Yeah, down at UTC. I interviewed him for an assignment when I was a music major at UTC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had that music therapy resolution with JT Cooper and Roger, which I wish Roger just stepped out. He sent me a picture and he goes, "Dude, you realize you're in a picture with Kash Patel's wife?" Kash Patel's the FBI director.
Yeah.
I'm like, what'd I do? And I was like,
Kash Patel himself is coming to your house, Mike.
Yeah, I guess it's I don't know if it's his wife or girlfriend, but she's a beautiful lady.
His wife.
And JT Cooper does that Warrior Rounds, and JT came up. We had some music therapists up a few years ago, and beautiful singer, and I didn't know that was his wife until Roger sent it to me, and I was like, wow, this is Cash Patel's wife. That was pretty cool. But you know, my sister, y'all have heard me talk about my sister's in a nursing home, Vicky. I was just watching the women's softball earlier, and reminiscing about my sister was a standout at softball and MVP scholarship and all that, and she was singing the song Country Road Take Me Home in the nursing home, and she had a brain injury, and she didn't know who I was, and I was amazed because she was trying to escape the nursing home. It was kind of, I mean, it was kind of funny but sad, and she's in a wheelchair. I tapped her, and I hear her singing that song by John Denver, and I said, hey, what are you doing? She goes, do you know how to get out of this place? She's literally trying to get out, wanting to get out, and I couldn't help but get a little tickled, but she didn't know who I was, and I thought, how in the world does she know the words to a song but didn't know who I was? And that's what led to the music therapy resolution. Music, not that they needed legislation, but the music therapists did. I didn't even know there were music therapists.
It's like a fairly new field of study, but it's now widely recognized. A lot of my friends from UTC, they are now licensed music therapists. They go all around the state. Good friend, I don't know if she listens to this, but Keely, she's a music therapist. She's licensed, and so. But yeah, it is a fairly new, recognized field of study.
I wish I could. I'm going to kick myself for not knowing this, but of course, I'm obviously go to a lot of concerts and stuff. I went to Shinedown last week.
You're the one that put me on Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
That was our intro music until we couldn't use it anymore.
That's my joke. Sometimes driving up to the Capitol, I'm either listening to get ready for the Capitol, I'm either listening to Josh Groban or Five Finger Death Punch.
Depending on how you feel going up to the Capitol.
Yeah. But but Shinedown talked about music therapy, and they I think it was $1 off of every ticket that they sold was going to go towards that. And there was a group in Nashville. And what they do is these musicians will go to ill children or whoever, and then ask them what songs they'd like to play, and they'd play the songs to kind of increase their spirits, and so that was something kind of neat from
Five Finger Death Punch. I like that song "Washed Away."
Yeah,
I mean, if you listen, you ever heard it?
Yes.
I mean, if you listen to it, and you took out the hard rock sound. Yeah. You would think it's probably a Christian song because he talks about who's going to wash all this away. And he talks about the pains going through, and I guess from the military. Yeah. And
well, they do songs about the military, and that they always Five Finger Death Punch always talk about the military in the concerts.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we
towards them. Yeah,
wish we still used it, but we couldn't. We wanted to use the Village People, YMCA, Roger Thomas's favorite song. Anyways,
he's not down here.
Well, if you and I'm not trying to be funny, but if you ever just listen to the words of the YMCA, Connor, Village People by the Village People. How old are you, Connor?
He's looking like you. He's looking like you're foreign.
Yeah, he got 3 heads growing on my head. But if you go back and listen, if you read the words to the YMCA, it really is almost a mental health song.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about coming together at the YMCA and all this. If you're feeling down, I just happened to read it. Yeah. I was like, well, this is almost like a therapeutic song. Yeah. What do you think about the Middle East and Trump's visit over there?
Say it again.
Trump's
over there with guitar.
And they're playing.
I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to that. Oh, did they play YMCA over there?
Yeah.
Did they?
Oh, that's
wow. I mean, he does play that at his
You think
rallies.
he's a good dancer? Trump?
Probably better than me.
I know, better than me.
He made it viral.
I know. Yeah. I like the president. Some of the things he says, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'd say that, But anyways, I won't get into that. You think I got ADHD, Brian?
Where's the squirrel?
We're jumping around on so much. Jerry, going back on VFW, some of the great work that y'all do. What can the community do to help support y'all?
What's that?
What can the community do to kind of help support support y'all and our veterans here?
Well, one of the things we do as opposed to we've got what we call the flag fund.
Okay.
And we collect money. We got a member that goes out. If there's a veteran that needs a new American flag or Tennessee flag or POW MIA flag, we'll buy it and go put it up for them. So we're always looking for donations for that. And you can go on our website, and there's a link to make tax-deductible donations on that.
Put Brian down for a flag. He'll help you.
And
I'll help you.
The nice thing about it is every month we start it over, but on there you can vote for a branch of the military.
Okay.
And whatever branch has the most money donated towards it, down here on Church Street at the Church Street Center, there's a flagpole there. That branch's flag will fly from that flagpole for a month.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Right
Okay.
now, Army's up there. Go
is it?
Army. Yes.
Okay. So somebody sent Rogers. Where'd Roger go? Where's he at? He's out there in the parking lot. But he sent me this video. Y'all have probably seen it on TikTok or something where it's these Army guys are running like boot camp.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about Vet TV or?
Nah, it's just some video and the guys are running and they're doing the chant and it's really tough sound. All of a sudden you hear the YMCA and it's the Navy and these like tight shorts come running
Yes.
by. Have you seen that?
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the one where the different branches of the military, and it's like how they get over a barrier. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them, do somersaults over it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which branch.
I saw one where it's how the different branches of the military clear a room. Army pops a couple of rounds in there. Marines toss every grenade in there. Navy blows it off the map, and then Air Force gets on the computer and calls it an airstrike. He's over there nodding his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're about out of time. The 118th, I wanted to get into some of that, but we didn't really have much time. 118th, great news for Smyrna, Rutherford County. May take 6 years to get done. $400 million investment. I think over the next 10 years, I think $1.93 billion investment over there at Seward Air Force Base. I'm proud of it. I was born out there. My father served there, and so anyway, great news. Hats off to Mayor Reed, David Santucci, and others, and thank you for Colonel Brian Salutka for hosting us out there with the C-17 and that KC-135. Jerry, Brian, thank y'all. Give y'all some last words. Go ahead.
Just 988 suicide hotline.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, next Saturday we're having a ruck march out at Barfield Crescent Park for Memorial Day, starting at 8:30 a.m.
All right, next
Saturday, the 24th.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Connor,
sir.
and thank you, Roger Thompson, for popping in. Y'all have a great night.